Yotzeit, Mendel Zatzal, falls on Chanukah, where Hidur Mitzvah, the beautifying of a mitzvah, became integrated as an essential part of the mitzvah Klal Yisrael was makabel. Delighting each person, each home. The Hidur, rather than being merely an add-on, becomes integrated. Perhaps it's because, like Sefer Chaim says, the Hadron, Teresh Bal Peh, it's only Am Yisrael that has that commitment, that knowledge, that consistency through the Deiros to pass it on to every generation. That's our uniqueness, that's our beauty. That there is no Torah without Torah Shebal Peh. The Ramban points out that Aaron was appeased, though he didn't participate in the korbanos of the Nesiim, that the Menorah will be his reward and his uniqueness. But the Menorah has an advantage because even when the Beis Mikdash is not extant, up and running, then there'll still be a Menorah. That's problematic because the Menorah is also not there, but there'll be a Chanukah. The Chanukah is somehow a reflection, a continuity, an expression of the Menorah that goes on even when there's a hest upon him, even in Golus, throughout the Deiros. Question then has to be posed, but Chanukah is lit in that mitzvah is every Jew. It's not the monopoly of the Kohanim. Let's try and understand that a moment. First time I believe that the Pnei Yisoscha's Mahalach was said here in the Beis Medrash. I believe it was Rav Bulman, Zechet Tzaddik Levracha, that spoke about it. Rav Mendel was from the Tzetzayim. He was the progeny of the Pnei Yisoscha, the Dinevah. He brings the Medrash in Breishis. The land was desolate and void, and darkness over the deep. Seil is an allusion to Bovel. I saw the land and it's void, desolate. As Homan, that's Boihu. That's Porus Amodai. Chayshech is Yovam. שהחשיכו עשן יסוד בגזירוסיהם ואומרו כיסבו על קרן השור שאין לכם חלק ולקי יסוד. Right on the horn of the shore that you have no part in the God of Israel. Enigmatic statement. Some of the Meforshim say that's in fact the way they communicated. They sent the fax by writing it, tying a note onto the horn of a shore and sent it from place to place. But they wanted Am Yisrael to relinquish their conviction that we are marching in history towards a climax of meeting Mashiach. What's Ein Lechem Chelek Ve'Elokei Yisrael? You don't have a portion in the God of Israel? Because the way Jews move from generation to generation, situation to situation, with new challenges throughout history in each place and each time, is the koach to be machadish, to innovate, to have chidush, which we've spoken about here. We've heard from many of the Rabbeim. The crucial difference between chidush and shinui is chidush is from within. Shinui is to step outside the grid and try and find alleviation for the pressure from external criteria. Chiddush is working from within the grid of the Daled Amos of Halacha, the Yud Gimel Midas. There's a stunning Malbim in the Eretz V'Chemda, notes that by the creation of the Or and Breishis, it doesn't say Vayhi Chen, because that Or was taken, it's already Chazal say, and was nignaz, was set aside for tzaddikim losed lovei. Says the Malbim, that's why Vayas Aaron Cain by the Menorah, because he's bringing back that Cain that was missing by Brias HaElam, is now that Or Agonus is retrieved in the Menorah, and then will extend to, as per the Ramban in the Chanukah. But every Jew lights it, true, but without the koach of Chiddush, which Aaron had to establish that potential, that there could be a koach of Chiddush in the Menorah. We have all kinds of rayas. The Netziv develops it, Chidush Yerim touches on it. We have all kinds of rayas from Chazal directly that the Menorah is keneged Teirah Shebal Peh. Somebody sees Shemin in a dream, Allah bonim Tamidei Chachamim, Chazal say, Harotzel Eschakim, Yadrim, he should face the south where the Menorah was. Wants to have wisdom, which is Teirah Shebal Peh. Again and again, we see that the Or and that the Shemin are keneged this koach of Ruchnius, of that Or, that light that was hidden away and retrieved with the Menorah and continues through the Deiros. This is Klal Yisrael's koach, to continue in our march to meet Mashiach. Koach of Chiddush. In a sense, we could say that was what the Greeks were mitlabesh. They particularly took exception to Mila, Shabbos, Chodesh. Those are mitzvahs that indicate Klal Yisrael's capacity to take the natural world and connect it to its spiritual source, to transcend Shabbos. We won't lose anything by cessation from the Lamed Tes Malachos on Shabbos. Mila, to contain man's ability to propagate and to utilize it in a fashion that it has meaningfulness, it's in context. And Chodesh, that time is subject to the Rebbeinu Shalom's criteria of Bezdin Paskins, that the day is Rosh Chodesh, when we used to be Mekadosh the Chodesh, Al Piriyah, then the world changes, says the Yerushalmi, according to the decision of the Bezdin. It's a certain transcending of the natural world. And that's how we keep going through history in a changing world, to be mitmoded, to be able to deal with it. Kisvu al Shor. I remember I once suggested to Rav Hutner Zatzal that why did they say Kisvu al Shor? Write down on the Keren of the shore? Why did the Greeks need that to be in good? By the way, there's another source that it was an emblem that was on their clothes as well, and that the Greeks demanded that of them. What does that remind us of? Ein lechem chelek v'elokei Yisrael. Less than 100 years after the Targum Shivim, where the Greeks had won that battle because they got the Torah Shebiksav translated, even though it was a miracle with everything that's related there, but they didn't have Torah Shebal Peh. And during that next period, they understood that the only way they can obliterate our capacity to regenerate and to continue in this ongoing battle and war against assimilation and Hellenism, one form or another, is our ability to learn Torah Shebal Peh, to be mechadish. So the Greeks won that battle. They understood they didn't win the war, and they said, write it down and then we can force you to translate it. And that's, I think, what the Bnei Yisoscha means. And he says, that's the way we're going to continue marching to meet Mashiach. Makes a reference there. He says that Mashiach, David HaMelech, is in fact the sod of Torah Shebal Peh. I assume what he means is that there couldn't be a David HaMelech without Torah Shebal Peh, because the Bezdin of Shmuel HaRamosi has to be Mechadish, Moyovi v'loi Moyovis. And therefore Rus can come into Klal Yisrael and there can be a David HaMelech. So David HaMelech is a consequence of Torah Shebal Peh. Maybe that's the Mida Keneged Mida Man Malchi Rabbonim. Real dynasty and sovereignty is the Rabbonim. Neisosra brings Gemara, Yuma, that David and Shlomo were anointed with a Keren, and there was continuity to their Malchus. Yehu and Shaul and Yehu were anointed with a Pach, and there was no continuity to their Malchus. Keren begimatria is Yimloich li Olam Voed, says the Bnei Yisosra. Pach is Yimloich. But then the Chashmonoim are going to find the Tzimtzemet, and they're going to make the Ner, so Ner and Pach equals Keren. And there's a new Yontef, which is an expression, it's the Pri of Torah Shebal Peh. A rabbinic Yontef. There's no Ksav. There's no Megillah. But we say, Baruch Hashem Kirishon Mitzvot Tzivonu, because that mandate and that koch was given over to the Rabbanan through the Deivos. There are sources, Megillah, Eliyahu Zuta brings, Megillah's Chanukah, that the Greeks also took out after Sukkot. Sukkot, it's a long discussion, and it's the Shmini Yomim that they try to be Mavatal of Sukkot, that in turn we have the Shmini Yomim of Chanukah. And over there by Sukkot it says, Leman Yedu. In order to know, it's Pilsumei Nisa. It was mentioned over over the years, last few years, that the wicks, the petilas that are not good enough for Shabbos, yet Chanukah, they can be used. I think it's the Chiddushei Rim that points out that Nefesh is notrikun, Ner, Ptila, and Shemen. Chanukah is a particular time, impossible to ignore that Mendel was called back to the Beis Medrash Shel Mala after having lit so many petilas that seemed not to be roy for Shabbos, and he was madlik them, that the Medrash, that the Bnei Yisoscha quotes ends, Beruach Elokim Ra'achefes al Pnei Hamoyim. It's the Ruach of Mashiach, in fact, on his way. How? Al Yedei Tshuva. Seems to anticipate that there'll be a Tnuas HaTshuva in Ikvasei de Mashiach that will be a precursor of the coming of Mashiach. Maybe we could add that Mashiach is also notrikun for Mila, Shabbos, Chodesh, and the Yud. Yaft Elokim liyefet. V'yishkon, the Vav is a chibur. 3 Yudin. It's another resistance that Yovan has. Is there a place for the aesthetic? Yes. But there's a resistance that it should be Sheikhen Ba'olei Shem. The fact that we're here, this Masiba, is a testimony to the triumph of Chazal. Challenges throughout history, yes, more and more. But it's our hidur. It's our being mahada and teirish Shebal Peh, making another siyum and another siyum, lighting another petila, another family in the orbit of Pirsumei Nisa. Neshama should have an aliyah, and we should be zeicher, the mheira, to be as a goyal, to be able to once again verbring with the mental satzam.